So, welcome, Stephanie Mines. We've known each other now for some years, but we haven't really had an opportunity to get to know each other. And I'd like to take this time to learn more about you. So, tell us how you came to being so passionately involved in helping empower families, mothers, to create a better world.
Thank you, Julie. And what a delight it is to be with you and to share our passions because we are so beautifully aligned. I come from a background of immigration, of family trauma, and an environment that was extremely difficult. And I found my way through that with the same passion that informs me at this very moment, a passionate curiosity about humanity, really. And ultimately, this led me to a doctoral program in neuroscience in prenatal brain development. My doctoral research focused on traumatic brain injury. And from there, I really went on to investigate the evolution of consciousness, the quest that I felt, that I believe I felt from the moment I was conceived, quite honestly, to really see into human potential. I would say throughout my lifetime, I have been fascinated with human potential. And
Beautiful.
ultimately, this led me, or I was led, I think, because the synchronicity of what came forward to me is so exquisite. I could never have created it. In the course of my studies as a graduate student, at that time, I was a single working mother. And needless to say, being a single working mother getting her doctorate is quite the challenge. And while I was in the midst of that challenge, which at times was quite compromising for me, and I would have difficult emotional moments. I didn't really have community. I didn't really have family to support me. I was pretty much on my own, supporting a family, and at the same time, not sacrificing my creativity and my passion. And I encountered a healing system quite synchronistically, quite randomly by appearance, that was a self-care system, the art of compassion, known as Jinshin, because it was brought from Japan by the woman who became my teacher, Mary Ino Burmeister, now my ancestor. And she taught me this self-care system, which began to make such shifts in my nervous system and my health that I was able to embrace my circumstances rather than be undermined by them. This was absolutely revelatory, and it was also quite fast acting. And I continued in parallel with my doctoral research, I continued to study with my teacher. I somehow managed to find time for those studies, my doctoral studies, and my devotion to my children. Ultimately, I discovered that this art of compassion that I was now using daily was based on what is known as the extraordinary meridians, which actually form prenatally. The synchronicity of that discovery, that when I was using this self-care system, I wasn't just healing the fear and difficulty and stress of my situation. I was actually healing my entire life experience. I was healing the way in which my nervous system had been shaped by difficulty. And I was restoring what I now call the original brilliance of my nervous system. So I was reclaiming who I really was out of the ashes of these really rather horrific, violent circumstances. That awareness completely changed my life. And I continued to get my doctorate, et cetera, to do postdoctoral studies actually with trauma experts like Dr. Peter Levine, Dr. William Emerson, others who are well known in the trauma field. But the understanding that the origination of nervous system distortion is actually much earlier than what was commonly being taught never left me. It was difficult to explain this to people. There was, as you know, a culture that for hundreds of years refuted what indigenous wisdom, what traditional wisdom knows, which is that in utero, the very nature of the being that has chosen to come forth is evident. And therefore, knowing this and feeling it and experiencing it, and ultimately bringing it into my practice when I graduated and had a thriving therapy practice as a trauma specialist, I saw and I continue to see the truth of this, that healthcare needs a major paradigm shift. We're aware globally that healthcare needs a major paradigm shift everywhere. And I sincerely believe that I was born to this. You know, I thought I was born to be a poet because throughout all of this, I was writing poetry, because poetry is really the only vehicle I could find that could contain the holistic nature of what I was experiencing somatically. So poetry continues to be a vehicle for the expression of my deep and profound faith, despite all evidence to the contrary, my deep and profound faith in humanity, in original brilliance, and in our capacity as women, as mothers, to change the paradigm in healthcare, not only the very nature of how we see human development and the origins of healthcare needs, but also in the way in which healthcare is delivered. Mm-hmm. I am committed to that, grandiose as it sounds. I am committed to it, and that's what I am now dedicated to with every cell of my body.
Absolutely fantastic. And the other day you were telling me that you actually live on a farm in Hawaii. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. I am blessed to be surrounded in my family by people of the earth. I'm from the Bronx, New York, from a urban background. And so my husband, my children are my teachers. And we have been farming together now for many years. They do the major farm work. I have to be transparent about this. I'm a helper because they are the real teachers. My husband in particular, who's an environmental attorney, because of his belief in Mother Earth. When we got married, I said my major competition is Mother Earth. My husband's devotion to the earth is as passionate as my devotion to humanity.
Wow, and let's hope he's put the two together now.
Oh, yes, he's working at it.
That's it. A one and the same thing, actually.
Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Yes. Wonderful. And another thing, Stephanie, I remember you telling me that you had your child, you had a baby, at 46 years old at home. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I'm delighted to do that. In fact, the Mother of Medicine, which is my latest project that we'll also speak to at some point.
Another baby.
Another baby. Yes, I keep having babies. I'm now 80 and I keep having babies.
That's Mother Earth.
Yes, that's Mother Earth, exactly. Indomitable. And thoroughly, abundantly creative. So the continuity of what I'm creating in this Mother of Medicine project that I'm completely involved in now is birth stories. I believe our birth stories contribute enormously to understanding healthcare. So I became pregnant in a way that surprised me. Not the way that I became pregnant didn't surprise me, but the fact that I was pregnant surprised me. And there were even, weeks of, could this be possible? Because I was protecting that possibility, protecting from that possibility. But indeed, I was pregnant. And when I confirmed that I was thrilled. And of course, so grateful for this opportunity to bring forth life. I had a wonderful pregnancy. I was 45. And of course, when I became pregnant, and 46 when I delivered, if I read the literature, I was what they call a geriatric. It was a geriatric pregnancy.
And high risk.
Yeah, high risk. There was no risk at all.
Even at 80, I must say, you don't look at all geriatric.
I don't feel at all geriatric.
Exactly.
So I had a very healthy, wonderful, bountiful pregnancy. I completely enjoyed it. No problems, no complications. I determined that I would have my baby at home because that's what felt right to me.
And home was where?
At that time, I was in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
And fortunately, I had a wonderful woman doctor, Dr. Julie Carpenter, who was agreeable to that. And I was able to find two incredible midwives who supported me through the pregnancy. And it was a 6-hour labor. It was actually shorter than my previous labor. And on a full moon night. The interesting little footnote here is that I, at that time, was still studying with my teacher, Mary Eno Burmeister, who taught me Jinshin, the art of compassion. And there was a class going on in Boulder right at the time of my due date. But I signed up for the class anyway. And I was in the class, and it was past my due date already. And I was fine. I was feeling fine. And my teacher recognized the state of my pregnancy, the state of the imminence of my labor in the class. And she made some suggestions to me of applications, very subtle touch applications form the body of this work. It's so safe and so easy and so accessible. And of course, I teach it now throughout the world, and I teach the applications for prenatal development. It helps mother and baby, helps the entire family. So I did those, started doing those applications immediately in the class. And then she gave me a job to do because I had been her student by this time for 20 years. Oh, this was actually the last class that she taught, it turned out, which I think is in itself incredibly auspicious. Mm. That's a whole other story, but I'll save that for another time. So she gave me a task. I had to go to, at that time, we went to copy shops. We don't do that anymore, but I had to take some charts to be copied to a copy shop. And I went and did that after the class. And as the charts were coming off the machine, I could feel that I was going into labor. And indeed, I went into labor that night, so that this baby, my daughter Rachel, was delivered in the midst of a class in the art of compassion. That feels auspicious in light of everything that I've told you.
Absolutely beautiful. And now the next thing you told me was that, or is, that your daughter is now pregnant.
That's right. That's right. Right at this moment, she is pregnant. Her baby is due in mid-March. And we are thrilled. And of course, I will be an active part of her. I already am an active part of her pregnancy and will be present for her labor and delivery.
How beautiful. So you can just see how the generations are coming out of this compassion, out of your passion and compassion to bring a new humanity. We talk about birthing the new humanity. This looks and feels like this is the application of that with your intention, your love, your consciousness, that you brought your daughter into the world. You're helping so many others do this to heal their past wounds, which you have done out of your early difficulties, to be able to become clear channels, if I've understood correctly, in love and compassion, to be able to bring whole human beings into the world, human beings that are intact. Is that right?
Yeah, I would agree with you completely. I would say that's what all my work is dedicated to, not only for pregnant women and for new babies, but for people now, adults, people of all ages, young people, adolescents, everyone. I have developed tools for accessing this same, what I call original brilliance. So the original brilliance is really the way in which the nervous system and the spirit and the will of each individual, through embryonic unfolding, through really the life of the embryo, brings forth ourselves into the world. And claiming that, that's what I've done basically, is I've claimed the incredible life force that drove me to emerge into the world at this time. I've claimed it as mine. I know it as mine. And that light shines and in fact illuminates the lives of the people who were around me, who became abusive as a result of very difficult circumstances, which I have been able to understand and thereby be able to not only forgive, it's beyond forgiveness.
Transmute, really.
Yes, transmute completely and celebrate and be grateful to them for allowing me to come forth to be of service right now in this moment, which is, of course, like all moments actually, but maybe somewhat more exaggerated, moment of destiny for humanity and for the earth.
Fantastic. It's exactly, in fact, what we are doing through our programs called Birth the Change, is when you say claiming that, I think it's the first imprint, isn't it, from conception, that we need to go back to that moment of vulnerability, which is still in us. It actually is not gone anywhere. You know, our past, our present, and our future all in the one now. And being able to go in our consciousness to that moment of conception, that moment of incarnation, and be able to reclaim it and to put in there the message that the imprint that is really us, so that we don't have the interference with all the programming that's come from the previous generations. And we don't have to clothe ourselves in other people's stories.
What is exciting to me, I agree completely with everything that you're saying. And what's exciting to me as a neuroscientist and also as someone who has studied embryology in terms of early brain development is that I see our prenatal development as, of course, that moment of great significance, but there are so many stages ensuing after conception where that original brilliance is evolved further and further and further. And in the template that I've developed, which is called the Rediscovery Journey, it's a very simple template that, thank God, seems to work 100% of the time. And I work with people from all over the world of very diverse backgrounds. Each one of them is able to be morphogenetically magnetized to whatever stage in their development really holographically contains that original brilliance, and thereby reclaim it. Because there are crucial, I know you know this, crucial developmental interludes that are key to us being able to understand how we may have oriented in particular ways. And this is what I mean by the prenatal origins of health, which is really the subtitle of everything that I do, that I have had the great privilege of being entrusted by people to help them see how early developmental imprints could have led to certain health needs that become chronic and life-threatening, and that have the potential to be reversed, to be recalibrated by the immune and nervous systems as a result of repatterning formations that were wired together at these significant thresholds of development. And it is a great honor for me to bear witness to these moments of transformational numinous awakening that comes as a result of the adult individual becoming conscious of that prenatal or early developmental experience.
That's absolutely fantastic. So please tell us your new baby, The Mother of Medicine, is quite an intriguing title. The origins of the prenatal origins of health, the subtitle you've just told us. So this is an event that's happening this year in 2025. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes, I will, and you're involved in it, and I'm so delighted that I will have more time with you, Julie. So the Mother of Medicine, I hope it becomes a movement. It's already looking like it's becoming a movement, and it's a movement to restore the leadership of women in healthcare. And I say restore because there is a pre-colonial history here in which women as mothers were respected in terms of their knowledge of not only prenatal life and nurturance, but of all healthcare, really. Women have been renowned for centuries to be the wisdom keepers of healthcare. And the Mother of Medicine intends to restore that lineage and to reshape the way we see development in all the ways that I have been speaking to here. So from the standpoint of the medical systems that are already dissembling throughout the world, everyone talks almost glibly at this point about the brokenness of medical systems everywhere, how they're not serving people, how they're harming people, doing the opposite of what physicians take a vow to do, violating the precautionary principle rabidly. That whole system is uneducated about the prenatal origins of health. I have trained midwives, a family birthing unit, nurses, even family birthing unit physicians throughout the world. And most of them know nothing of embryology. They are unaware of the crucial thresholds of development that occur in prenatal life. So claiming the value of prenatal life physiologically, but also psychologically. So the same thing can be said of the psychological professions. The majority of people serving now, right at this moment, as psychotherapists, even people known as trauma experts, are disregarding what occurs prenatally as the most important time of shaping individuals psychologically, from a physiological standpoint, from an emotional and spiritual standpoint. So the Mother of Medicine intends to awaken us to the importance of reinstituting prenatal life into medical care, into the psychological professions. It also points to the link between indigenous traditional wisdom and the prenatal origins of health. So there are traditional precedents for this understanding of the value of prenatal life. And I have, fortunately for me, been allowed to be very close to some indigenous teachers. My latest book, which is coming out towards the end of this year, is called The Spirit of Manaki. And it is the story of Orangatira, a Maori elder, Mata Wharihoka, who was a healthcare provider. And like other Maori leaders, women in Aotearoa, New Zealand, she was able to change aspects of the healthcare system because she brought tikanga, the heritage that she had received from her ancestry, forward. And so I am fortunate enough to be able to bring some of those indigenous leaders from Aotearoa, other facilitators in the Mother of Medicine. My two major arms here, in addition to my two, are Dr. Sheriona Menzam Sills, whose new book, The Prenatal Shadow, is also coming out this year in March, actually. And
Fantastic.
Fantastic
I recommend
book.
everybody read this book.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Dr. Antonella Sansone, who is bringing forth a new book on her studies and experience with the Himba of Namibia, which speaks to exactly this heritage that is a human heritage. It's a heritage that's meant to be shared with the world. That's why I wrote a book. I mean, I was honored to be invited to write this book about Mata Wharihoka. I mean, the honor of that, I still haven't fully integrated the magnitude of that honor, that why she chose me. But the purpose of the book is to bring forward at this time this wisdom into consciousness, because the thing that has to happen right now, Julie, consciousness has to evolve. That's the key antidote to the crises that are afflicting us. So the Mother of Medicine brings forward traditional wisdom, brings forward the prenatal origins of health, and shows how scientifically, because I have done clinical research as well that documents this. So this is not just a philosophy. This is lived experience. How the prenatal origins of health can be brought forward to actually meet the healthcare needs of people, and why healthcare delivery must be in community, must be collective. People are too isolated and struggling alone too much. Humanity has been abandoned. And so the prenatal origins of health allows women's leadership to change that isolationism and bring us together as a community of evolved consciousness.
Fantastic. And what I've always said, and I said it when we were lobbying and advocating at the United Nations for this, is that mothers and women are mandated by nature to bring a child into the world and give it everything it needs until it has reached its full potential. And this is the work of the mother. And, you know, it has to be restored. because she has the inner keys, she has the inner wisdom. She's been empowered from nature to do this. And it's not just human beings. It's every mammal has this innate understanding and wisdom. But this has been taken from, or she's given it away. It comes to the same thing. Now women really need to reclaim this. And so I've been calling this, as we talk a lot about artificial intelligence, I call it innate intelligence and II. Instead of too much going to AI, we need to balance with II,
I love
innate
it.
intelligence. And this is really the mother wisdom. And often I said to my students, I said, if mothers came together, real mothers, that I'm talking about, if real mothers who live with this consciousness that they have the means to bring a child into the world that's healthy, happy, enlightened, and allow it to blossom into its full potential, that if these mothers came together and created a council, there would not be one child who would go to bed hungry at night in the whole world.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That brings tears to my eyes.
Totally. And that's why women have to be leaders in healthcare.
Men won't do it. They haven't got that ability. But a mother has that ability to make sure that all her children are fed. That's what innately is what she knows how to do.
And as you're speaking, Julie, something is coming to me from listening to you. I have a lot of sensitivity to voices, to the tones in people's voices. And what I hear in your voice, Julie, is I hear the mother. And it makes me, and I get chills even articulating this, it makes me want to say to everyone listening, to everyone seeing this, that when Julie refers to the Council of the Mothers, you don't have to have had physical children to be a mother. That instinct that Julie is referring to of nurturance, of leadership for life, is within every woman. And you don't have to have born children and delivered them necessarily. So when I invite you to the Mother of Medicine, there isn't a prerequisite, that you would have birthed a child. It's that neurodevelopment that I'm actually referring to, which is limbic, which is mammalian, and it's the neurodevelopment of nurturing stewardship that is what is, I feel, being brought forth now with so much power as the threats to humanity increase.
No,
and I will say that climate crisis was one of the inspirations for me to take this huge risk and organize this event, because as you know, organizing events like this is not easy, and it's not remunerative, and it's not done as a marketplace event. This is not a marketplace event. We don't do things to be financially successful. Finances are needed to make things happen, but that's not our motivation. So I was kindled, as I know you have been, to create the Mother of Medicine because the world is hungry for it, whether people know it or not. That's the definition I read recently from Frederick Buckner of what is purpose or what is mission. It's when you are kindled to meet the hunger of the world. And that hunger may not be articulated, it may be nascent, but we are attuned to it in a way that allows us to all be the mothers of medicine. What is medicine? Medicine is what makes us whole.
Exactly. And I see and experience it as empathy when you love. You feel, this is what a mother, how a mother knows what her child needs, because she loves. And if we take this oxytocin, the natural oxytocin, away from a mother, they're disconnected. They don't know anymore. So they have to go and ask somebody else, what does my child need? But when a mother has that full, from, let's say, from conception all the way through, and she's living in love, in that bond, in that oxytocin, then it is innate in her to know what her child needs, even if the child is the other side of the world. There is no distance. And ask any mother, they feel what their child is. I mean, a true mother, let's say, one that has not been disrupted in this process. And then the mother's duty, I say that in a beautiful way, not an imposed duty, but it's her nature, let's say. It's her nature to say, oh, my child needs me to put my hand on the head, or to massage the feet, or put them in bed, or take them in my arms. All these things are medicine. Medicine for the soul, medicine for the heart, medicine for the body. And they're all interconnected. You can't separate them. So this is my understanding, I hope I'm getting it right, of the
I
mother
think
of
you're getting it quite right, Julie. And, as you were speaking, my heart just aches for the mothers and the babies and the children who are under such duress right now throughout the world. In a Mother of Medicine Summit, we will have clinicians, midwives like Ibu Robin Lim, and midwives from Palestine. We will have speakers who address the way in which humanitarian crises just attempt to disrupt motherhood. And I truly feel, following your definition here of true motherhood, that all these children are my children.
Yes, exactly. I have the same. Because woman, when we're in touch with the mother in us, woman is the mother of humanity. And we must collectively reclaim this motherhood. And then, as I said, there are times when, because everybody is our child, all the men of the world, they're children of mothers. And so there are times when we have to say, stop. You've gone too far. Every mother knows this. If
Yes.
you continue, you will hurt yourselves. You will hurt each other. This must stop now. And I feel this is part of it. We have the nurturing, but we also have to have, the lioness's roar. You've gone too far. Stop. This is now the mother who's speaking. And if we all rose up and said, we don't want our children to be killed, we don't want, this has got to stop, boys. And if we see them as these almighty, powerful beings, we won't do that. But if we see them as our children, they, our boys, have got out of hand. And we're not going to have this anymore. We have to say stop.
You're bringing tears to my eyes, Julie. You truly are. We are so aligned here. We are the voice of the same mother.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is what has drawn me to be so grandiose as to think I could create a movement. It's not me who's creating it. This is not about people buying my books, Of course I want people to buy my books, but it's because of what's in them.
So they get served, so they get woken up. Exactly. And so that, no, because it's not the I, it's the we. The mother is really collective. And in the tribes, that's what happened. The babies, the children were mothered by all the mothers. And not just isolated in one home or an apartment or somewhere where the mother was kind of just left on her own. This is not, it's not natural, it's not normal. So
yes, I think, you're speaking to, I spoke earlier of my own origins. My mother just died at the age of 104. She died in November 25th, which is the birthday of my eldest daughter. So at the age of 104, my mother died. But you are speaking to the trauma that so disturbed my mother's life, may she rest in peace, which was of being separated and alone with horrendous circumstances. And the loneliness of that isolation, I think, tormented her throughout her life. And I am so happy for her because she is now reunited, with her people, with her 6 sisters and her own beautiful mother. And when women are made to feel they don't deserve this accompaniment, every woman deserves it. And creating a healthcare system that with equanimity and compassion and attunement really meets this sacred process of childbearing and child delivery and that exquisite postpartum period, when those are honored as the very temple of the future of humanity, that's when we will know that we have a true healthcare system.
Exactly, completely. That this is in a cradle. The mother's womb is a cradle of humanity. And we need the community around to honor that. So I thank you so much for your life's work, for who you are, for all the healing that you've done for yourself and others, because truly you're doing it for the world. And we will be showing everybody how they can participate in this wonderful movement, as well as online events, I believe, and sharing. We hope that whoever's watching this, that you'll join us and make this a movement which touches the lives and hearts of people everywhere who long for peace, community, brotherhood and sisterhood, and with all living beings, not just humanity, but that it must extend out to all that is around us, which is alive and conscious, not just on this planet, but the whole universe is our home. We live in the universe. And let's make it a Garden of Eden. Let's make it a beautiful home where all our children can blossom. So thank you so much, Stephanie. I look forward to upcoming collaboration with you. And once again, thank you for all that you are.
Well, thank you, Julie. I feel deeply touched and elevated by our time together here. And I thank the universe for bringing us together.
Yes, we are together. Thank you so much. All the very best. See you soon.